This is a raw propolis. Propolis means the start of life. Over 90% of the products on the world market do not have the amount of propolis that's mentioned on their label. When you get some samples tested from Canada, you see that the ingredients is coming from China, which has nothing to do with real propolis. Same with USA, same with Europe, same with Japan, same with Korea. Think about 50% of all honey worldwide is still not real. The most strongest natural antioxidant is cleaning our body. Now I put 15 drops. We work with 5,000 beekeepers. We test everything. We test every batch. We have a clinical study that we had run with doctors on 10,000 patients in 50 different locations. Do you know that bees are producing their bread? How did I end up with bee venom? Don't forget, if there are bees, there is life. I'm 100 years old.
Welcome to Pravia Interviews. Today we are honored to introduce a scientist and an entrepreneur who is changing the way we think about bee products and natural health. Dr. Asli Samanci is a food scientist and the founder of BNU, a company known for its clinically tested propolis, royal jelly, and honey-based supplements. With a PhD in food engineering, Dr. Samanci developed a patented extraction method to make propolis more bioavailable. Her products are now in 30+ countries and have earned 39 international awards for innovation and quality. Her journey started with a deeply personal mission, finding a natural solution for her son's autoimmune condition. That mission led to groundbreaking research and a brand trusted by millions. Today, she is here to share the science, the journey, and the future of bee-based wellness. Please welcome Dr. Asli Samanci to Pravia Interviews. Dr. Samanci, welcome, and it's an honor to have you here with us. And how are you today?
I'm great. It's also an honor for me to be with you today, and we will be talking about so exciting bee products, propolis, royal jelly, pollen, bee bread, bee venom, and how are they making a difference in our lives? How are they making a difference in the environment? So we will be talking about everything today. I'm thrilled to start our conversation.
Fabulous. So the first question, let's dive in, and we will develop as we go on. How could you explain what propolis is in layman's terms and how bees actually produce this for those who don't know?
Yes, I bring some propolis today for you to show you. You see that this is a raw propolis. And as you can see that it looks like a stone, but propolis is not a stone. It's a bee product that bees collect from the trees. It's a resin that bees collect from the trees. And it is the most strongest natural antioxidant in the nature. Bees use this resin as a disinfectant in the hive. They seal every cell in the beehive with propolis first, and then they put their baby bees on it, and then they put their honey on it, their food on it. That's how they preserve their family, babies, and also that's how they preserve their food, because otherwise they will deteriorate in the hive. Because propolis is a very strong antioxidant, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral at the same time, it helps the baby bee to grow healthy and turn into a normal bee. And it also helps the food of the bees, which is honey, royal jelly, pollen, not to deteriorate, but just to mature and to ferment and to turn into a normal food. And they are doing this while the temperatures in the hive in summertime, when the flowers are blooming, is about 40 degrees. So it's really the most strongest natural antioxidant, antibacterial, natural agent in the nature. And that's how we also benefit from propolis. As you can see, as propolis in its raw form is just like a stone, and our body cannot digest it in that form. You cannot even chew it. It's very hard to eat and consume, and our body cannot digest it in that form. It has to be extracted. What does extraction mean? Extraction means taking out all the health beneficial compounds out of propolis, which are polyphenols, phenolics, flavonoids, which are also called the antioxidant family. These antioxidants has to be extracted from propolis, and propolis has to be separated. Raw propolis has to be separated from its beeswax, because as bees steal every cell, which is the cell is made out of the beeswax. So it's mixed with beeswax in the hive. When you collect it back from the hive, you can collect it in the form of a mixture. Now it looks like can you see the yellow parts? The yellow parts are the beeswax.
Yes, I can see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the yellow parts are the beeswax, and the darker areas, the dark brown ones, are mainly propolis, resin. So it needs extraction to get separated from the beeswax and turn into a natural extract form where you can easily consume and digest. So we are collecting propolis from the hive, and we turn it into a natural extract where we can easily consume, drop into water, yogurt, honey, or directly into our mouth, and to support our immune system, to keep our body away from infections, bacteria, virus, fungus, anything harmful for our body, and to clean out our body from toxins, because this is what antioxidants are doing in our body. Every day we need antioxidants to support our immune system, and also plus we need antioxidants to clean our body from free radicals, which are mainly the wastes of the cells. Yes, that's the right wording. Our body is producing every day wastes. Our cells are producing wastes, and these are called free radicals. And the only way to get rid of those toxins from our body is to take antioxidants into our body. Do you know how much fruits, legumes, and vegetables you need to eat every day to get enough concentration of antioxidants into your body? Do you have an idea?
Well, my idea is that it's not even kilograms. I think it's tons. It must be probably tons, because already
luckily not tons. I mean, that tons of fruits, I cannot imagine eating that much.
Okay, maybe tens of kilograms or more, but it's definitely a lot. Something that you cannot possibly consume.
World Health Organization recommends a healthy adult, like let's say 70 kilograms of a weight, to eat 11 to 13 portions of whole food, which is a mixture of legumes, wheat, also fruits and vegetables, and also additional 5 to 6 more portions of fruits and vegetables every day. Otherwise, you cannot get enough. It's impossible. And you cannot get enough concentration of antioxidants from the food that you're taking.
May I just jump in? Because it's also the fact that this would be true if we're actually eating truly organic produce. And how many of us can say today that what we are putting into our bodies is completely untainted by glyphosate or any other pesticides that has been used in big food agriculture? So basically, this doesn't ring the truth, and we have to supplement our bodies with extracts because it's impossible to get it from the foods alone. And unfortunately, this is the reason.
The food is not very healthy anymore.
The food doesn't taste good. You can taste it, and you can see that it's not as it used to be when you were younger. That's for sure.
Yeah, because the nature is dirty now. We are not taking only pesticides, glyphosates, or other contaminants, but we are also taking a lot of plastics from the food that we are eating.
Yes.
Because the world is not clean anymore. So we need definitely antioxidants or body cleaners, which are polyphenols, phenolics, flavonoids, daily into our diet to get rid of all these toxins, to take them out of the body. So that's what propolis is doing. Propolis as being the most strongest natural antioxidant, is cleaning our body from toxins, free radicals, heavy metals, whatever you can think that is dangerous for the body, it's cleaning them out. And you need to take daily, because that's a process that your body is doing every day. Your body is producing free radicals every day. You are prone to pesticides every day. You are prone to chemicals every day, heavy metals every day. So you need to take daily. What we recommend, of course, propolis itself has to be real and free of pesticides as well. We recommend taking, now I put 15 drops.
How strong is the extract you are using right now? Because I know you have several.
I'm using the water-soluble extract, this one. So this has about 30,000 milligrams of polyphenols per milliliter. So now I mix it into my water, and that's how I take every day. Minimum 20 drops from our B&U water-soluble extract version. We have a stronger version, which has 2 times more polyphenols, more concentrated version, which I don't have on my desk right now, but I will show that in a minute to you.
Cheers.
Thank you. So I always say, if there are bees, there is life.
Yes.
And bees also say that if there is propolis, there is life. Do you know why? Do they say that?
There's life. Well, I can think of something, but in order not to make a fool of myself, I'll let you answer it. Because last time you asked me this question, I answered wrongly, and I felt very foolish. So I better let you answer that.
No. I mean, I'm an expert. I'm a food scientist. I have a master's degree on bee products. I have a doctorate degree on bee products. Over 20 years, I have been dealing with bees and bee products. So that's very normal. But why do they say that? Because propolis means the start of life.
Okay.
Pro means first. Polis means the protector of the city. So
is that from the Greek or?
It's a Greek word. So it's the first protector of the hive. And it's protecting the hive from anything bad, any bacteria, pathogens, viruses, anything bad. If an insect goes into the hive and dies there, they cover it with propolis. While they are going into their home, which is the hive, they place through the entrance, they put a little bit of propolis, they step on it, and they go into that hive by cleaning themselves with propolis. So it's like the start of life for them. If there was no propolis, there would be no honey, there would be no bees, no beekeeping, no royal jelly. It wouldn't be possible. They would all die because of contamination, and the food will get deteriorated. So that's how everything is possible with propolis. The start of life.
Cheers to that. Can I ask, this actually brings up a question. What about the bees that accidentally pollinate crops which have been sprayed with pesticides? How do they actually clean themselves of this residue when they go into the hive? Because you know very well that there are honeys in the market and other products which, when tested, they are actually very high in pesticide residues. So it doesn't necessarily kill the bees, but it stays inside the products, correct?
Yeah, that's true. So it's also dangerous for beekeeping and bee products. Any area that's being sprayed with pesticides, there shouldn't be any beekeeping around that area. Bees can fly around 2 kilometers. So if you place a hive in one region, think about that. A bee can fly around 2 kilometers. If they cannot find enough sources for food, like nectars coming from the flower, if it's not enough in 2 kilometers, they can even fly 4 to 5 kilometers.
I see.
So in that area, there should be no pesticide applications. It should be away from railroads, any possible contaminant, like industrial areas or houses, because they're all contaminating the area of the bees and beekeeping. So it's dangerous. That's why we do only contracted beekeeping in a clean environment. Turkey, why are we doing this in Turkey? Maybe you can ask me this question. Aslı, is there only bees in Turkey? No, of course not. Luckily not, because we need bees all around the world. But what is different about Turkey is there are three main points. First, in Turkey, beekeeping is a tradition, and there is 8.2 million beehives. This is first. This is very important. GMO cultivation is not allowed. So we have natural plants, a lot of natural plants. There is 12,000 plant species in Turkey, and 3,800 is endemic to that Anatolia region. It's the land of Turkey. So this is the second reason. And third reason, we have 75,000 beekeepers. As it's a tradition for many years, there are a lot of beekeeping families. So that's a good point to do beekeeping. And what we do to collect clean beekeeping products, we work with contracted beekeeping model. We give equipment to our beekeepers, we give free training to our beekeepers, and they produce for us in a clean environment, away from railroads, away from industrial areas, near clean water sources, and away from any cultivated area. That's how we guarantee the quality of the bee products that we are producing with our beekeepers, and we also test them. We have a very big R&D lab. If you have a chance to have a visit to Istanbul in our facilities, I would love to show you.
Already planning this.
That will be great.
Already planning this.
We can take more videos there, and we can have another interview in the lab.
Yeah.
While we are running the analysis and seeing everything there. So we are also testing our products for pesticides, veterinary drugs, if they're real or not. What is the concentration of active compounds? For example, we only use raw honey in our formulations with the highest concentration of enzymes. Everything valuable is kept in honey. Also, propolis. We have a patented extraction technology, which we guarantee to have the highest level of antioxidants, polyphenols, in every single drop of our extracts. And we tested our extracts versus 157 different propolis extracts worldwide. And it's proven that we have minimum 6 times more flavonoids, 5 times more phenolics, and in general, 5 times more antioxidants compared to all the average of the market. That's how we get a patent for our product. And we also have clinical studies backing behind, showing the health benefits of our products, extracts. That's how we started, and that's how we developed into 200 different SKUs that's being in the global market in 37 countries from now on, adding Czech Republic together with you. That's how we do our that's how we develop and produce all of our products.
So maybe it's a good thing now I have this question further along, but maybe now it's a nice way to introduce how it all started for you. What was at the beginning of this idea, and what, caused this shift in your career from a scientist to becoming also a female entrepreneur?
Thank you. That's a very nice question, which I love to answer every time. I'm a food scientist, as I said, and I started working in the beekeeping industry after I graduated from school. So that was like my career journey. I started as an R&D director in a honey packaging company, and I started solving a lot of problems about beekeeping, bee products worldwide. I started becoming an expert about how to determine the authenticity and origin of bee products, which is my master of thesis for food science. at the university. So I started becoming an expert about honey, and I started seeing what the problems our beekeeping industry is facing, like just we told, like pesticides problem, contamination from the surrounding, and also there is other problems like technical problems. For example, beekeepers don't know how to produce propolis or royal jelly or pollen or bee bread, or they cannot find the market. And I also saw that the market is full of fake products. There, as you just mentioned, there's fake honey, there's honey which is not real, pure and authentic. It's contaminated with pesticides. And I also started seeing those problems. And I saw that the first beekeeping country in the world is China, with its number of beehives. But what is produced in China, real, good, and authentic, is being sold in China.
Yes.
So what is being exported out of China is generally not real anymore. So it's not real honey, it's not real propolis, it's not real royal jelly. It's something mixed with some other substances to make it more, but they sell it named under propolis or honey or royal jelly, like 100% pure. But it's not.
How can they do that though?
Pure.
How can they do that? How can it look like something and it's not? And normal people, obviously, they don't have the facility to go and test it somewhere because they don't have access to laboratory that will do it, and it's very expensive to actually send a product for testing. I know you have a lab and you test all the products yourself, but how can they fake it? I mean, how is this possible that they can fake it to the degree where you or me as a normal consumer who doesn't know anything goes to the pharmacy or a shop and buy the product and thinking, yes, and then you think it's working, actually, I'm not sick. Is it placebo then, or how is this possible?
How it is possible? They definitely there's not enough regulations worldwide about bee products. Only honey is regulated worldwide, but still think about 50% of all honey worldwide is still not real, not authentic, and full of pesticides or veterinary drugs, low quality issues. If that's the case in a bee product that's regulated, what is the situation with the unregulated area? Can you imagine? It's over 90%. So when you test 100 products from the world market, you see that over 90% of the products are not real, are not authentic, full of pesticides or some added substances, which is not claimed on their labels.
Of course.
So that's the main big problem in the globe. And for example, if you just test for antioxidants, let's say propolis is a good antioxidant, but vitamin C is also an antioxidant. So if you add a kind of vitamin into a product and sell it under the name of propolis with putting a little bit of dyes into it, so it will have the antioxidant power, but it won't have any propolis in it.
So this is what is done.
Yeah,
really?
I mean, they put some other substances to it. Sometimes it's not something good like vitamin C. Generally, it is something else. Like they put parts of the plants. So they put barks of the trees, leaves, saps. So they put parts of the plants, make it into a powder form. They put silicon dioxide, maltodextrin, and dyes. So it looks like a powder, brown. Wow. Looks like propolis, but it's not propolis. Maybe real propolis is 1%. The 99% is filling agents it's also from plants. So maybe that may explain you're still getting something antioxidant, but it may be also dangerous. You don't know what you're getting. I mean, if you don't know what you're taking into your body, this is always risky. And also the other filling agents like maltodextrins, silicon dioxide, dyes is something that you don't want to take. So that's one way of doing it, the adulteration of propolis. You know how honey is adulterated? They put types of syrups into honey, make it more. For example, in one product that we tested in America, which is being like sold everywhere, It's a syrup made with honey for kids. I mean, it's claimed that it's made with honey. It's a syrup for cough and cold with propolis and honey. And we tested that product, if it's really propolis. Guess what? There is nothing about propolis in it because we tested the active compounds, the polyphenols, one by one: caffeic acid, phenylethyl ester, cricin, galangin, pinosembrin. These are active compounds. There is over 300 different active compounds, phenolics and flavonoids coming from propolis. And we are able to test it one by one. And we tested in an external third-party lab, which is Eurofins USA. And it ended up having no polyphenols coming from propolis. So this means that it's not propolis at all. So what is it? We also tested it for, is it really honey in it then? And guess what? It ended up with a pesticide, high concentration, which is not being used in honey production or beekeeping. Where is it being used for? It's used for rice production in China.
Wow.
And bees don't collect nectar from rice, or they don't collect propolis or pollen from rice as well. So what happened there? They used rice syrup instead of honey in the formulation.
Wow.
And this rice syrup was produced in China. That's how it ended up with this dangerous pesticide in a syrup being sold for children for cough and cold in USA. And that's generally, I'm just giving you an example of what we generally see in the global market. So it's really dangerous if you don't know the producer, if you're not sure, are they experts in their field? Do they know what they're doing? Do they know what they're buying, selling? Do they test? If you don't know what is this, it is really very risky. And because there are not enough regulations in the globe. There is nearly no regulation for propolis and royal jelly, pollen, bee bread, bee venom. Turkey, being the third biggest country after China and India with its number of beehives, just published regulation for propolis, royal jelly, pollen, bee bread last year. After 8 years of work and studies in a committee where I was also taking place in that committee as well. And it took us 8 years to publish that standard. I think that's the only standard in the globe right now. All the other work being done in the globe is also, there is a group always do to stop that groups so that they don't want regulations. I mean, if there will be regulations, their products will get tested and they will be pushed out of the market somehow, or they will be forced to produce good quality something. So it's like a fight. The computer fight. They send a virus and you create an antivirus. It's the same fight in the beekeeping industry.
Yes.
There's a group of people, more academicians and companies like us, trying to do real and good quality, fighting against the cheaters, the fake producers. So this is going for all my life. I mean, I started that industry in the year 2000, which is 24 years right now. And it's the same story going every day, every time, every year.
It's all about the profit. Is this based? So we can safely say this is the true for the big pharma, because obviously you will find a lot of propolis-based products in pharmacies made by pharmaceutical companies as well. So on a large scale like this, how do they do it? They go and source it from China, or?
100%, I can say, because how do I say this? Because the main producer of that powder named propolis is China, and they sell out to everywhere in the world. When you get some samples tested from Canada, you see that the ingredients is coming from China. Same with USA, same with Europe, same with Japan, same with Korea. I mean, it's like they sell everywhere, all around the world. That's their like a main business. That's why companies, they buy products produced in China. Maybe they buy it from Europe, from a raw material supplier, but they are buying it, sourcing it from China. So,
right.
For example, let's say you're a pharmaceutical company producing a lot of different products in Europe, and you want to produce propolis. So you go to a European company providing propolis, but you don't necessarily question its source. They send you some documents, like they are producing them in Europe. You don't really test it. You don't really get engaged with it because you're not an expert. I mean, it's not of your business. You are doing a lot of other products and also propolis. So you just buy it from them and you claim that I bought it from Europe and put it in my product. And experts like us, because that's my expertise, while we test it, we can see the difference. Some phenolics, some flavonoids from one region. For example, we know the flora of Turkey. So if a propolis product is produced in Turkey, we know which phenolics and flavonoids it should possess.
Yeah.
So if it's claimed that it's produced in Italy or Spain, we know the flora. If it's from China, we know the flora and we know how it is, the additions, I mean, the adulterations. Yeah. So we can test for those compounds, we can look for them, and when we see it, we can understand that it's from China or from Europe or from Turkey or from America. So we can understand that. This is called determination of origin. I'm also an expert on that. I started that with honey. It's coming from the plants and the nectars. But while bees collect nectar from the plants, they also collect pollen. And these pollen specific to that region. So when you analyze pollen in one bee product, you can understand where it is coming from which plants. And you can also, there are pollen atlas, which shows where the different types of flowers are blooming. So you can understand from which part of the world it is coming from. The same with propolis. The same with pollen, bee bread, bee venom. You can do that. It's possible. And you can combine this information with the results of other testing. To understand if a bee product is real or not, it may take you more than 100 different analyses.
Wow.
To understand if it's real, pure, and authentic. That's why such products like bee products, they need expertise and focus. Yes. You cannot just, hey, here I'm producing vitamin C, and here I'm doing propolis, and here now I'm doing omega-3. I'm extracting.
Yes. I love private labels. Yes, this is exactly the case of private labels. Yes.
Yeah, it's not that case. I mean, expertise is expertise. You have to get deep into everything.
Yes.
So we are deep into bee products. We are the experts in the field, and we know what we are doing, and we know what others are doing as well. I mean, we are following, testing them. And we are also, I'm myself, I'm an activist to support real good beekeeping. And I have to do that because otherwise beekeeping will end in the world. If beekeepers cannot sell the real good quality products that they produce, they can't go on their business.
Yeah.
And if they stop looking after the bees, the number of bees will decrease down.
Yeah.
And when this happens, this is also very, very risky for pollination, because bees pollinate 80% of all plants worldwide. Which means
we know that bees die, we die. That's a very simple scenario.
Einstein said that when the last bee dies in the world, humanity has at most 4 years to go on.
Yep.
Because we will starve. We will have no plants, no fruits, no legumes, nothing coming from the environment. So what will we do? We will have an end. The humanity will have an end. So this is the reality. That is why we need people like me, like you, to support real good beekeeping and to support beekeepers and good beekeeping companies. That's what we do. And we pay back to our beekeepers every year. We look after 550,000 beehives, Diana.
That's a
And
lot.
we work with 5,000 beekeepers to produce all these value-added bee products. And from every B&U product being sold on the market in the globe, we share 1% of the income back to our beekeepers for sustainability. We call this Beekeeping Sustainability Fund. It's like a fund that we collect this money over the year, and every year, at the end of every year, we pay that money back to our beekeepers as new beehives. So we don't give that money back as a money. We give it as a beehive. So they grow their number of beehives. So we have some beekeepers where we started 11 years ago. We started 11 years ago in 2013, my entrepreneurship journey. And they were just looking after 30 beehives. Now they are looking after 300, 400 beehives.
That's like one beekeeper? One beekeeper is looking after?
Just one beekeeper, just one beekeeper.
Okay.
So now they started turning into beekeeping small
like a cooperatives. Yeah,
yes,
like a cooperative. Yeah.
There was only one person doing beekeeping in the family. Now they started doing it as a whole family.
Good.
Husband, wife, children, even granddaughters, sons. So they developed their beekeeping facilities. So that's how we try to help the beekeeping world. And that's how we are behaving like a bridge between the bees and the humanity. Just trying to bring all the health from nature, from the bees, to the humans directly by keeping its health benefits and by producing it in the right way. And but I felt that I didn't really answer your question. Why did you start that journey? Being an expert, yes, is critical, but I was really not thinking of starting a business like this, being an entrepreneur, if I didn't have that problem in my life. My first son, he was having high body fever problem. Every month, started from 11 months old until 5 years old. Can you imagine, as a mother, I was really having very heavy times, always a sick child. And my mother is a pediatrician. My father is a surgeon. I am living with doctors, but there was no cure for his disease. He was being always giving a lot of antibiotics. He was always taking antibiotics. And when he stopped taking them, the high body fever was going up again. So it was really horrible. And when he was 5 years old, his body started bleeding on itself.
Jesus Christ.
Can you
how
imagine
does it look? I cannot imagine how it looks like, started bleeding on itself.
It's called Henner Schönlein vasculitis. If you Google and just write vasculitis, you will see the pictures. It's like very dark brown spots on the legs and on the arms and legs.
Okay.
Or sometimes all over the body, but it starts on the legs and arms. And it's a very dangerous disease. It's the blood is coming out of the vein on its own. It's like an autoimmune disorder, and there's no cure for it. When you take the child to a doctor, they say, "Oh, Aslı, this is once in a million." But that happened to me. What now? There is no cure. He's having that problem, and if he has it in the brain or in the heart, he may die.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? And I visited 18 professors to diagnose and understand what's going on. And the last professor I visited, he was an autoimmune disorder expert. He told me, Aslı, you're a scientist. specialized on bee products. Your husband, my husband is an agricultural engineer, Thailand, and a beekeeping expert. Why don't you give him propolis and royal jelly? When that happened, it was the year 2010. I was working in the honey packaging facility as an R&D director, and my husband, he was training the beekeepers on how to produce good quality and safe honey. And we didn't have any beehives. We were like working in the lab, more on the academic side. And when doctor asked me this, I said, because there is no production in Turkey. The only product beekeepers are producing is honey in Turkey at that time. And there's no propolis, no royal jelly production. He's advising us to give him propolis and royal jelly, but there's no production. And I tried the product that's being sold on the market already, and they are not working. And I tested the products because they are not real and authentic. Because let's say it's a product. The claim is made in Europe, let's say, but I tested. The ingredient is from China, so it's not working. So
you, sorry to jump in, you at the time you bought products that were available in the market because this is what the professor recommended. You went to a European source somewhere because obviously you wanted to.
I was trusting like more to European products.
Of course.
And they ended up having ingredients from China.
Yes, exactly.
It's not real propolis, it's not real royal jelly. That's what, it's not effective. And then doctor told me, okay, Aslı, if you don't trust the products out there on the market, why don't you produce for your son? That's how I started for the first time in my life, production of royal jelly and propolis. Of course, I didn't have any beehives at that moment.
Yes.
So Thailand started calling beekeepers. And one of them said, if that's necessary for your child, I can produce it for you. And he produced propolis and sent it to us like this. Like it's like a half a kilo in a
do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. Okay.
What to do now? Yeah.
How will I give this to my child? And I started looking at the literature, and I saw that it has to be extracted. There is over 120,000 published clinical studies in literature, but they are all done with extracts, not with raw propolis. So it is very healthy, very valuable, and humanity knows about it. I mean, Egyptians used propolis. Hippocrates, the father of medical science, he has prescriptions with propolis. It's known, it's there, but it has to be real, authentic, and it has to be extracted in the right format. And I extracted it for the first time in my life for my son, and I started giving it to my child every day, the concentrated version with 60,000 polyphenols per milliliter, which is 2 times concentrated than this one, 40 drops daily. And royal jelly, I mixed it to raw honey. Raw honey means honey fresh from the hive, unpasteurized, unheated, real and authentic. And I also, and royal jelly, you know, it's like the mother milk of the bees. So it's a milk that bees produce from their body to feed the baby bees. This is royal jelly. And that's how I started giving him every day. And doctor also told me, put him at home, no touch with any other people, so that he doesn't get any bacteria or virus into his body anymore. And just give him the bee products. And that's what I did. And no more drugs, because drugs, I mean, the antibiotics is making the making the case worse. So I started giving him every day, and we started seeing the improvement in his immunoglobulins, meaning immune cells.
Yes.
They started improving. They started from 400 and went 50-50 every month. And in 6 months, it went over 800. And we were analyzing and seeing it with a doctor. And he was all okay. I mean, his high body fever problem gone away, the pain, stomach pain, All the body pain is gone, allergy is gone, the dark blemishes on the skin, everything gone.
Wow.
Now, now he's all okay, like a miracle. I asked myself, is that a joke? I'm working with beekeeping for such a long time, and there was no cure for my son's disease until I find propolis and royal jelly. Okay, I think that's a message for me.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I have to listen to. And I stopped working as a professional in a company, and I decided to start my own entrepreneurship journey that time. That's how I started 11 years ago to start production of propolis, royal jelly, pollen, bee bread, all the value-added bee products together with our contracted beekeepers. And that's how I started my lab for the extraction of propolis, testing the bee products. And now we own the biggest value-added bee products facility in Europe and MENA region. We are one of the biggest worldwide as well. We have a 10,500 square meters of a plant. Our beekeepers, they produce bee products. They send to our facility. They don't do any process on the bee products. They keep it as they should keep it. For example, royal jelly, they send it to us under refrigerated conditions because when it's fresh, it has to be refrigerated.
Yes.
And we do all the rest in our own facility. We produce everything under our control. We test everything. We test every batch of product that we send out to the world market. And we certify what we are doing. Our facility is GMP certified, CGMP, which is the highest level of GMP for food production, supplement production, skincare production, and OTC drug, medical device production, because we have a nasal spray, which is the first propolis nasal spray, natural nasal spray in the world, formulated with propolis, eucalyptus oil, and sea salt. And it's really very effective for allergic rhinitis because we have a clinical study that we had run with doctors on 10,000 patients in 50 different locations. So in 3 weeks of use, this product is proven to relieve allergies, especially seasonal allergies, allergic rhinitis. So
can I ask, does it hurt in any way when you spray it in your nostrils, or it's like you feel nothing, basically?
Definitely no. You feel it. I mean, you feel the taste of propolis, a little bit of salt, and the eucalyptus oil. You get it, but it's not like, oh, what's that? You just it has a nice feeling. And the first test that we had done is it harmful for the epithelial cells, which means the cells in our nasal passage area? Is it harmful? This is the first test that we had done. So it's proven that it's not hurting the nasal epithelial cells at all. It's healthy for that cells. And the second test we run on humans for relieving allergic rhinitis. And we also run the same study in European level because the first study was run in Turkey. So we asked, that's good for that region. So is it still good for the people in Europe as well? So we did the study again in Europe with 400 patients in 20 different locations. And it's still having the allergic rhinitis relieving effects. So it's good, like for everyone, it's proven. And we have 3 publications. All of the 3 studies are published like right now in literature. So, I mean, that's how we work. We produce with our beekeepers. We formulate them into natural products, 100% natural. We analyze every batch. We test everything from hive to table, and we prove their health benefits. And we certify everything, GMP, BRC, IFS. We have a lot of 41 different certifications for different needs and aspects. Like we have even kosher certification. We have even halal certification. We have certification for gluten-free. or non-GMO.
Mhm.
We have also certification for Cosmos Natural and Organic. There is a lot of different type of sustainability certifications. We
Yes.
have a lot of certifications proving what we do. So we are always third-party testing. We are getting third-party tests and audits every time. So that's how we do everything.
Can I ask, the spray you've mentioned, is it also can we claim it's safe for babies or children and pregnant women and nursing women? Because the question often is, is it safe? And
Yeah, for all
I know we
you
can't
are
say
right.
it sometimes, but yeah.
You're right. First of all, I must say that generally in the world, bee products is safe for people over 1 year old. So
Mhm.
under 1 year, we prefer to give it to the mother or breastfeeder, let's say.
Yes. Yeah.
So with the breastfeed, all the health beneficial compounds will go to the baby as well. So we prefer not to give anything else, just the mother milk to the baby. So this is the
Yes.
first rule. Second
Yeah.
rule, people who are not allergic to bee products can use them, which
Yes.
means if you're allergic to honey, probably you're also allergic to propolis, royal jelly, pollen. So there are two main rules. You shouldn't be allergic to it, and over 1 year, you can start giving small by small. As this is a nasal spray, for very small babies, it may be strong. So we recommend it over an age like 4, 5, and more. So that when you can start spreading something into the mouth, because when they are too small, it's very hard.
Yes.
For adults, I mean, you can spray it even 3 times daily, which is no harm. There is no drug in it. So it's also safe for kids, but very small kids, it may be very strong for them. So they may not like it. It may be hard for them, but there is no risk because it's drug-free. And what we should be caring about is, are we allergic to any bee products? If we are not, we can use them. Are bee products allergic? They are not known allergens like pistachios and nuts. But there might be some people. I mean, once in a million, there is someone allergic to honey.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they should know that and they should be aware of that.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's fine.
Your son, I wanted to ask you, but I didn't want to interrupt. So when you cured him of this heart condition, this difficult autoimmune disease, how do you keep up his supplementation now? I mean, what does he use to keep healthy?
Well, he was 5-year-old when I, let's say, noticed propolis and royal jelly and how healthy they are for immune system. I started using myself. We started using all the family, and he also started using. And he was 5-year-old. Now he's 19-year-old, and he has been using propolis every day. He's now taking different formats. I mean, he used to take drops. Now he's taking my shots. Do you know the shots that we produce? Because, propolis has a very strong taste.
Yes.
That's normal. Because antioxidants are very strong and their taste is like onion, very strong. It's normal. It means that it has high concentration of antioxidants and there is no sugar in it. So it's like 0 calories, which is good.
And there will be people who will be complaining about it.
Yes,
I don't like the taste.
They may not like the taste. They may not like the taste. So that's how we developed a lot of different products. For example, I developed the spray formats for kids and adults. And the main idea was to give people easily propolis, because here I mixed propolis in high concentration with honey and menthol. The taste is good and the effect is good. And also the menthol makes a
fresh breath.
Fresh breath, yes.
Yes.
So, and I made a children version. My son, big son, which is 19, is now using this one and the shots, because in the shot formulations, I mixed propolis into fruit juice and honey. And in the kids version, I mixed it to elderberry, strawberry juice, and propolis. And then I added a little bit of vitamin C, so it's easy to give that vitamin to children as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So the taste is good and the effect is good as well. So
Mhm.
that's now they are taking, some of them are taking tablets. Some people like shots, some people like the sprays. I always take definitely the pure original one.
So if
But,
you are a
I mean-
healthy, if you are a healthy individual, what would be the daily dose as a prevention?
We call it prophylactic dose. From the drops, definitely 20 drops daily for adults. But if you have a chronic disease
Mhm.
like cancer or like type 2 diabetes or
Mhm.
stomach ulcers, this means that you need more antioxidants because
Yes.
your body is producing more toxins. So to get rid of more toxins, you need more antioxidants. This means you need more propolis. So while you are sick, we recommend to increase up to 80 drops until
Mhm.
you get rid of the chronic disease.
Mhm.
And then you can drop down to 20 drops.
Mhm.
While you are, let's say, a child, you can have less. Let's say 10 drops.
Mhm.
Over 4 years of age, you can start taking 10 drops daily, and you
Mhm.
can increase up to 40 drops daily while you are sick.
Mhm.
So for children, the health dose is good. Is there a toxic dose for propolis? You didn't ask this, but I'm raising this question. There is
It's a
not.
good question. Somebody will definitely ask it.
So
Yeah.
what is the maximum level that I can take? The meta-analysis, it's a scientific word, is done for propolis. It's nothing new, and humanity has used it in the past a lot. So there is a meta-analysis that has been done. And according to that analysis, to reach the highest toxic level of propolis, you have to take really a lot that you cannot really take.
Mhm.
Let's say it's the from the concentrated version.
Mhm.
You need to take 100 bottles a day to reach half of the toxic dose. Half of
Really?
the toxic.
Wow. That's
So
a
the
lot.
toxic dose would be 200 bottles, which is impossible. You cannot take that much.
Yes. Yes.
So it is known as a non-toxic natural substance. So it's
Mhm.
non-toxic. But of course, there is a necessary amount that you need to take daily. Less than that amount, for example, I hear some people, they say, oh, I take 3 drops daily. It's like nothing. It won't do
Yeah.
any benefit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because you have, let's say if I am 50 kilos, it should be like 1 drop per kilo. So
Okay.
I normally
easy.
take, I
Mathematics.
normally take 40 to 50 drops daily.
Mhm.
If you have a more weight, you may need more. If you're
Yeah.
a bigger person, I'm not big enough. I mean,
But this is how it used to be. They
Yeah.
never used to prescribe supplementation or recommended dosages per age. They did it per weight, because you can have a 2-year-old child which weighs God knows how many kilos, and then you can have a child of the same age that weighs half the
that's
the weight
true,
of
that's
the
true.
and
That's true.
you cannot possibly apply the same formula on these two kids, because they have a completely different physical
Yes, that's what I
composition.
meant. That's
Yeah.
what I meant.
And when people ask me this, because obviously I sell supplements, and they rigidly follow the recommended dosages on the label as if it's a God-given word, and I have to tell them, look, everything that I sell, well, not everything, but the ones they are asking about, those are actually nature's gifts. Those are natural products, and if the manufacturer says you can actually eat as much as you can and it's not toxic, but we have to put it on the label as a recommended dosage, because this is how it's required by the government and the pharmaceutical companies and so on and so on. It means that, you don't have to stick to it. You can just follow your body's needs. And I get quite tired by these questions, because it's always like, oh my God, my son or my child will die if I give him 1 drop extra of this product because it says so on the label. Or this doctor or this nutritional therapist said, oh, you have to stick to this prescribed only this much dosage, otherwise something is going to happen. It always kind of makes me angry when people so rigidly are follow the rules, and they are so afraid of natural supplementation from the plants. I know it can be sometimes dangerous. We all know that. But if it is not dangerous, and I've assured them, then keep asking the same questions, it really is tiring, and I'm sure there will be questions about these products as well of this same time, can it harm my child? And I'm like, okay, but have you had your child vaccinated? Do you know what's in the vaccination? That will harm your child, rather than giving the bees products to the kids. It's sometimes like, people have double standards when it comes to what is natural supplementation and versus what is presented to them as something normal. But giving your child bad food, vaccinations, you don't know what's inside of them anymore. That's more dangerous than when you give them propolis, or like, for example, wild oregano. We have the company from America, which actually collects wild oregano from Turkish mountains. So there is already a connection. I already know a lot about how Turkey is a great country for wild plants, and how your mountains, because they are so wild and so vast and not inhibited by people, so they are clean. Yeah, you get the best there is basically in the nature, still preserved from centuries ago, and we should be very grateful to that. And I'm so happy, because this actually brings me to the next question, because we discussed this when we first talked, and I didn't know this, and I'm sure people who are listening, they don't know this. When we talk about contracted beekeeping, and obviously we are all aware that bees build the hives to protect themselves, and then in we come, the humans, and we take it away from them. So how do you do it, or how is it done, that the bees actually keep their own? They are protected, safe, and the queen, is well taken care of. But how do you get the propolis, which is the extra propolis that doesn't actually harm the bees? Because I don't know how this is done, and I think people would love to know it. So explain to us the model, how you actually do it, and then explain why this cannot be done on a large scale, because it is kind of the question I had next. How does the composition of propolis vary across the different regions? We were supposed to discuss the influence of geography on propolis quality, but it kind of ties all together, because you mentioned that propolis, or these derivative bee products, cannot be collected just about elsewhere. There are only certain regions in the world where this can be done. So if, for example, somebody in France, Italy, Spain or Canada or USA or South America claims, oh, but I collect the propolis from the bees which are roaming free here, is this actually true, or are they lying about it? Because how difficult it is to actually collect the propolis and create a large scale production that will supply everyone.
Very good question. That's a very good question. Well, definitely. Let's start the first part of your question. Beekeeping must be done with good agricultural practices, or we call it good beekeeping practices manner, meaning that you shouldn't harm the environment and you shouldn't harm the bees while you are doing beekeeping. Vice versa, you should support them grow in their numbers. This is called good beekeeping practices. A good beekeeper must do it in that way. Otherwise, if you harm the environment or if you harm the bees, you will have no more bees next year.
Absolutely.
So this is really very important. And if you kill the bees, that you will have no more environment. You will have no more flowers in a couple of years. So it's very important to do it in the right manner. We have a manual which we produce for our beekeepers, which is called Good Beekeeping Practices. That's how we teach our beekeepers to do it in the right way without harming the bees and the environment. For example, let's look at propolis. We don't collect the propolis within the hive. Bees collect propolis from the trees in certain times of the year. There should be a certain temperature. There should be a certain humidity in the air, and there should be certain kind of plants. So they don't collect it from the flowers of the plantation. They collect it from the trees, and these trees should have resin on them, and they should be secreting that resin under certain environmental conditions. So they don't secrete resin, let's say, while it's -18. Or when it's 0 degrees. It's generally,
so there is a window
yes,
during the year where this is done. And
yes. So it's not, they're not producing propolis all around the year. They do it in Turkey in springtime and autumn time.
Okay.
So it's they start with propolis and pollen. So they start collecting propolis in the springtime, and at the same time they started collecting pollen. And this lasts about from April, May, and let's say mid-June. And then they start collecting honey and producing royal jelly. So, I mean, it's not like a cutoff, but in one part of Turkey, it starts, let's say, mid-May, and in another region where it's more colder, it stays at the beginning of June. So there's a certain climate condition that's necessary so that plants can produce propolis and pollen and honey, and bees can produce royal jelly. So they are not at the same time, first of all. So first they produce propolis, and they seal their hive with propolis, and they put pollen over that, and then they start producing honey, and they collect honey. And then at autumn time they start collecting propolis again, and there is no more honey production at that time as well. And then when they come to winter, they just had to stay in the hive and keep their body, let's say, hive warm. Otherwise, they can die. They can freeze and die. Under 15 degrees of temperature, if the outside temperature is less than 15 degrees, bees cannot fly. When they go out, their wings will paralyze and they will die immediately. So they cannot fly. So we need a kind of warm to hot temperature so that bees can fly and produce bee products. So if somebody is claiming, hey, I'm producing, let's say, propolis in Canada, the climate condition is not appropriate. There is not enough humid. It's not enough. The humidity is not enough. The temperatures are not enough. And every winter, during wintering time, all the bees will die because they will freeze. It's very cold. So you should think about that, if they're lying or not. Where are they living? Where are they doing this? Is it like a subtropical area? Because Turkey is kind of like a subtropical, it's not tropic. It's like a subtropical. So in such areas, we have enough humidity and enough temperatures in different parts of Turkey. First of all, this. Second, how will we collect propolis without harming the bees? We don't take what is necessary in the hive from the bees, because they should have it so that they can run the hive. Otherwise, they will die as well. I mean, if they can't find any propolis, how will they seal their hives? How will they protect it from their hives from bacteria,
exactly,
virus, anything dangerous? So you cannot take it. You just need to make them produce more for you, which is much easier. What we do, on top of hive, there is a, like a lid. On every hive, there is like a lid. So beekeepers take that lid out and they place like a nest. So there are like openings, a kind of a sheet where there are openings on it, small lines, and they place it under the lid, and they put the lid back again, but they don't close it perfectly like a half. So there is some wind coming from that lid, and through those openings, they go that, let's say, wind or sunlight goes into the hive, and bees don't want it. So they start stealing every opening with propolis.
I see.
So beekeepers, when the net is full of propolis, beekeepers take out the lid, they collect the net, and they put the normal lid back again. And that's how we collect propolis. So we ask them to produce more for us. That's how we produce it. So we don't harm any bees. We don't ruin beekeeping. They do what they need to do normally. The same we do with honey. We don't collect all the honey that's necessary for the bees, because bees also, they collect it to eat it during wintering time. If you take it back, they may starve. I mean, you have to do every bee product in that manner.
Yes. So basically, just idea popped in my head. If you didn't put the extra lids over the hives, and we all know that bees are very busy, they don't stop working on anyone's account, they just keep going. Would it mean that they would just be building the hive with more propolis around? It would be like this big house, or how would it be if the lid wasn't there to collect the extra propolis? What would they do with the extra propolis they would be still bringing in?
No, what normally they do, they go to the hive, they go to the trees, collect the resin and bring it to the hive, and they put the extra propolis somewhere under the lid or somewhere around the wall of the hive. If we have a chance to go to the beehives, I will show it to you. So they start collecting it on the walls of the hive. The ones that they use in the hive, they use it. And the extra one, they put it on the wall if it's too much. And if they are like more careful, if in the future we don't find any resin out on the trees, let's collect some for future. That's how they do it. If you can also collect this back from the hive if they don't use it at all. But you don't necessarily need to do that, because this the format, how we produce it, is very clear and clean and very easy. And it's not harmful for the bees. It's not harmful for the environment. It's very easy, and they do it. And you get a very high quality propolis in that way, and clean as well. So it's very easy. And that's how we normally do it. And for example, for royal jelly, you didn't ask for it, but I also want to mention that as well, because that's something that bees excrete from their body. It's like the mother milk.
Yeah.
So when I say we collect royal jelly, people ask me, then what does the baby bees do? They think that we are taking their food. Of course not.
Yes,
I mean,
but it's a valid question, because people who care about animals, and obviously you've got vegans who don't eat any animal byproducts, and also it applies to the to the honey and the derivative products, then they would argue with you on this point, like you are taking something from the animals, and in their eyes, this is harming the environment of the animal.
Exactly. But of course, we are not harming them. I mean, we should be crazy to harm the bees. We should align with the environment, and we should align with the bees. Otherwise, if humanity, the problems in the world that we have right now is because we are not aligned. If you align with them, you can use what they also use in the nature. Bees are very clever. They are like natural pharmacists. They collect everything that's healthy from the environment. They select, they collect, they know how to preserve, they know what to do. I mean, they have only 45 days of a life, and they know everything the day they are born.
And we think we are the most intelligent species on the planet, right? And this is a little bee which has 45 days to live, as you say. And I like how you put it so eloquently that you said you call them the nature's pharmacists. What an amazing, comparison. It's really great what you said. Yeah, I've never thought of it of that way, but it actually explains everything about them.
Yeah, definitely. They don't collect anything harmful or poisonous.
Yeah.
They collect that's good from the environment and they bring it to the hive. And we have, as humanity, if we are aligned, we have the chance to get their valuable products and benefit from it. That's what we do. So what we do, of course, we don't take the baby bees food, which is the larva. We call it larva, the technical word. So what we do, we place, normally, there is a queen bee in the hive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Queen bees, they're not born queens. They're born like normal bees.
Mm-hmm.
But they put that baby bee into a bigger comb.
Mm-hmm.
So this is called queen rearing comb. They are bigger cells in the beehive in the comb. It's bigger. Normal cells is this big. Queen bee rearing combs are that big. So the baby bee that's in that hive, in that queen rearing comb, is prone to eating more royal jelly. Mm-hmm. So the other baby bees, they eat 3 days royal jelly and they go on eating pollen and honey to grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Only that baby bee that's in the big cell, she eats more royal jelly. She eats a lot of royal jelly. Like the other ones eat 3 grams, let's say. Mm-hmm. This one eat 90 grams, 10 times more.
Wow.
Because bees secrete more royal jelly from their body to give to that baby bee to make it into a queen. Mm-hmm. Because eating royal jelly throughout her lifespan, she grows 2 times bigger. She lives 30 times longer. Normal bee lives 45 days. Queen bee lives 5 to 7 years. Just because of eating royal jelly throughout her lifespan. Mm-hmm. So she grows 2 times bigger, lives 30 times longer, and lays down 2,000 eggs per day. Mm-hmm. We call her a super bee. Yes. What makes her super and different is the royal jelly. So how can you collect royal jelly without taking the food of the baby bees? It's very easy. You put big combs, more than one, into the hive, and thinking that there will be a queen bee coming out of that big combs, they put more royal jelly. That's it. Very easy. So the rest, all the bees keep doing what they're already doing. You don't take their food, you don't take their honey, you don't take their pollen. You just put more big combs.
This is a perfect alignment of humanity and our brains, our intelligence. You studied their behavior and you basically came up with the idea how to work with them, and they work with you and they just produce more, but nothing is harmed. They would do it anyway, and you just take the excess. And it's amazing to see that this is how it's actually working. And I know that a lot of people, they haven't got a clue. And they think that, I'm sure that you do it right, but I'm also sure that on a large scale, I don't think they take such a good care of the bees, the big corporations. I don't think that it's in their interest. Their interest is to make money, the profit. So I'm sure that the bees will come to harm for the, large corporations that produce honey and propolis. I just don't believe that they see it the same way you do.
Well, beekeeping is really something really technical, and you have to, as a scientist, all my life passed with beekeeping and bee products. Do I still know everything? The answer is no. It's like a lifetime learning. You have to get engaged every day into that. Mm-hmm. That's a science. Even just a beekeeper doing beekeeping all his life, he doesn't know everything that bees do know. If you look at them, listen to them, learn what they are doing. It's like a lifetime learning.
Yeah.
It's really a deep science, and a human's life won't be enough for that. You have to have a lot of different things that you can learn from the bees. If we have a chance, again, as I say, to go near the beehives, I will show you so amazing behaviors that they do. They, for example, they communicate with each other. They talk with each other. And it's in such a way that we humanity cannot do. I mean,
Yes.
they show, for example, if there is a nectar in one part of the region, they show it to they show it to the hive. And how do they do that? There is so much to learn from the bees, and you can still get aligned with them. If you learn them, understand them, you can get aligned with them. And if you're aligned with them, they are not against you. They don't come and sting you. Like they become like your normal pets. They get to know you from your odor, body odor,
Really?
behavior. They know you really. You can go near the hive without having a beekeeping suite. And you should just need to understand them and how to behave them. If you are really aggressive against them, they will be for sure aggressive against you. If you're aligned with them, they will be aligned with you. There is so much to learn from nature, from bees.
Yeah.
And my life will not be enough for that. I know. From now, I know that it won't be enough. I am just trying to pass this information to the young people, young generations, so that they can keep on going. Otherwise, we know that there will be no more world to live in for humans.
Yes, that's true.
In the future.
It scares me actually when you say this, because first of all, we have to deal with so many imposters. That's one thing. And second thing is that the younger generation that should actually inherit this knowledge, they don't feel like doing it. You know, they all want to be, I think like TikTok stars, you know, and influencers. And this is a real work. This is where you have
to. They will have to do it. Yeah, no, believe me, they will have to anyhow. And I still trust on them. They are learning fast. They are different than us, but they will at some point, they will do what they have to do. Maybe we don't understand it today, but I'm sure they will find a way to get aligned with the environment so that the world will keep going on. But we just need to pass all of our information to them. That's what we are trying to do. As a company and as a scientist.
Well, fingers crossed it happens. I want to get into another question. It's kind of tied up to the first one. Obviously, you being in Turkey and me being in Europe, I wanted to ask, because we discussed how it works in the USA, Canada. How does it work in Europe when you have European companies? There are a lot of French companies, for that matter, that actually claim they have they produce propolis in their region, and then they make extracts out of it and products. You have tested products from Europe as well as the US and Japan and other countries. So obviously, my audience is a European audience. I want to ask, how do you see these claims by the French companies, or the companies that you see on the European market, that their propolis is actually extracted from propolis collected in that region, like France or Italy or Spain, when they claim that the climate is suitable for this kind of activity? Is this actually true or not?
In many cases, not. How do I know this? Because I tested many products from the shelves all around the world, over 40 different countries. I tested products from. So what is hard is it's hard to collect propolis. It's hard to extract. The taste is not something sweet. So it's also even hard to sell. So generally, most companies don't try to go deep into that beekeeping side. they
Mhm.
generally tend to buy that ingredient as an ingredient and use in their own formulations. This is the
Mhm.
first answer. As I said, over 90% of the products on the world market do not have the amount of propolis that's mentioned on their label. Let's say if they say, oh, I have 25% of propolis in my formulation. You test it, it's just 0.2%.
Yeah,
The
I had a
real
look.
concept.
I had a look here in the Czech Republic on most kind of like sold common brands, and I think the highest I found is 10% extract.
And
Maybe
when
there
you
is.
analyze it, you see that it's not even 10%.
It's not even 10%.
So that is, and that is because the ingredient source being from China, which has nothing to do with real propolis, some kind of added fake propolis, let's say. That's the main reason. That's the main problem that we see in the globe. So can we produce propolis in France? Maybe some parts, but not all. And well, I haven't tested any product really being from France up to now.
Mhm.
So we generally, being an expert in this field in the globe, we generally know what beekeepers are doing in different parts of the world. For example, is France a good bee product producing country? It's a good country for beekeeping, but it's not enough. The amount, the quantity that's produced by beekeepers is very, very low.
Mhm.
While you compare it with the amount of bee products being sold in the French market.
Mhm.
So
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if we say that, let's say in French market there is 100 tons of propolis extract being sold, how
Mhm.
much is produced in France? It's, let's say, it's like 100 tons. I said, let's say 100 kilos. So
I
like,
see.
do you understand what I
That's
mean?
what
So,
I suspected is that, because we talked about it and you said that the demand cannot cover the supply. It's just
yes,
impossible.
the production is not enough to cover
Yeah.
all the demand in the market. And when we look at the price point,
Yeah.
for example, when I talk to, because I am connected with all the beekeepers worldwide, I have friends from all around the world, from China, Vietnam, France, Canada, US. We know each other. That's a small world. We collect every 2 years in one country, which is called Apimondia, World Beekeeping Congress. So we know each other for many years. So we talk to each other. We know what's going in every country by means of beekeeping. So when you talk to a beekeeper, do you produce propolis? Do you sell to any company? When they say, when you collect this information and collect the information about the price, and you look at the price on the shelf and talk to the beekeeper, understand the price, the cost that they are doing for doing the beekeeping.
Yes.
That's not possible. That doesn't match.
Yeah.
It cannot be the propolis collected in France being sold on the French market because the price point is so different.
Yes.
Because it should be normally like 10 times or 100 times higher if they really buy it from beekeepers in France. So, but it's very cheap. So how does that happen?
Yeah.
When you analyze the product, you see and understand that how does that happen?
Yeah.
That's the main problem in the globe. So that's one of the main big problems. So by means of that, there are very small number of really propolis producing countries worldwide. Very small number. Just China does a little bit. Most of it is adulterated, and the good one that's produced is already consumed in China. Yes. Somebody buy it and it's not going to the world.
Yes.
There is India, Turkey, a little bit of Brazil, Argentina.
Yes.
Chile and that areas. The rest
no
is not in the propolis industry at all.
Yet they sell it as if they made it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the problem with most of the things in the market because the manufacturers, they say, "Oh, we make this." I always say, "Where do you take your ingredients from? Who made those ingredients?" Because it doesn't matter what the finished product looks like. What matters is what's going in inside. It's like when you are cooking food, you can cook. I don't know. I will give an example of goulash, a classic Czech or Hungarian dish. Yes.
Yeah,
You
I
go
know
and
goulash very well.
you
I love
you
it, by the way.
so do I. But you eat goulash in a substandard restaurant where they put the cheapest, oldest frozen meat, God knows from where, how old it is, when they buy it in those big supermarkets or the big suppliers, you can see the meat is from Argentina or traveled far, far away or whatever, and it's been frozen for 3 years or something, and it's just not nice, and they put MSG inside to enhance the flavor, this and this and that. And then you cook goulash from a freshly killed, beef from your local farmer. You put your own onions inside, your own vegetables, and no MSG, just salt and pepper and spices, like paprika. And it's a different story.
Amazing, yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is exactly
I know very well. I mean it.
Yeah.
I'm a food scientist. I mean it. I know very well.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't understand that people don't see this, that when you have the same recipe, the outcome is always going to be different based on what you actually put inside.
And the effect will be much more different.
Exactly.
I mean, propolis is very healthy. It has anti-carcinogenic effect. It has type 2 blood sugar regulating effects. It's good for allergies. It has anti-allergic effects. Good for throat, sore throat, heart and vein infections, heart and vein problems. It's good for many different types of diseases. But how and when and which concentration? It's only when it is real, authentic, and produced in the right way with a standard method, format, ending up a good quality product. Otherwise, it may be even harmful. If you're having a cancer, eating a fake product, thinking that you will benefit out of it, and you may ending up with more problems.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's very, very, very important. Why would you eat propolis? For its taste? That definitely no.
No.
For health, because the taste is even not good.
Yeah.
So if you're taking something for your health, you should be 100% aware of what's going on in the world market.
This is a good question, actually, I think. I just thought of it. If you could take, let's say, 5 supplements until the rest of your life, what would they be? Only 5, additions to your normal diet to keep healthy and strong. What would you take?
I already do it. Every day, I take my propolis, definitely, every day. I already finished 20 drops. You have seen it.
Yes.
And definitely, every day, I take my royal jelly, generally mixed into honey, because we normally mix this into honey, or in the shot format. We have shots made with royal jelly, or we have tablet versions, propolis, royal jelly pollen tablets. And every day I take pollen or bee bread. Do you know that bees are producing their bread? Do you see that? From pollen. These are if I tell you that these are same, would you believe me?
Well, they don't look the same, but I believe you because you are saying so.
Because they are same, but they are different as well. Bees collect pollen, which is the sperm cells of the plants, to produce their bread out of it. They put that pollen into the hive in every cell, and they put their enzymes from their bodies over that pollen. Think pollen like an egg. So there's a shell, strong shell, protecting the interior of it.
I see.
So this shell, bees cannot digest this shell. They secrete their enzymes over it, and they turn it into the bread format, which is like a kind of half-digested pollen.
I
So
see.
the bioavailability of bee bread is much higher, and it's also fermented by bees. So this fermentation process turns it into a natural probiotic.
I see.
So
Okay.
bee bread is a natural source of vitamins, minerals, and proteins, and antioxidants, plus enzymes and probiotics. So it's both, they're the same, but they're different.
Okay. And this is it? This is what you take and nothing else?
Of course, I have the bee venom. I don't eat it, but I put it on my face. You know this series. It's my favorite. Natural Botox from the bees.
Yes, everyone I think has heard of it, but you know how it is. Again, it's a marketing ploy to actually sell products that do nothing. But you have bee venom in it, but probably not in a concentration that does much. But you market it very well. You put a high price on it, and people go crazy. And I'm sure that your products, they actually have the concentration that will do something with the skin. And if I can be the judge, your skin looks amazing. I don't see any wrinkles, so I bet that it's working as it should.
Yeah,
I always say that the manufacturer should be the walking.
Years old. Yeah, now you know.
Sorry,
I'm 100 years old.
you are. Yeah, okay, the vampire then. Okay, cool.
I won't tell my age, but I'm half of 100 years old right now. Nowadays, I started getting older. So this bee venom series, how did I end up with bee venom? Bee venom is known for its health benefits. This is bee venom here. Yes. You see this product. How did I end up with that beautiful product? When we founded our company and started selling propolis, royal jelly, pollen, bee bread, and all the healthy, beneficial bee products, our beekeepers, they started asking, why don't you also make a product out of bee venom? Because this is very healthy. And beekeepers, when they get a stung, they know that it's very healthy for their muscles, for their ankles, for their knees, joints. Yeah. It's very good for joint health. It's very good for brain health. So it keeps you young and vital, and beekeepers are prone to this. They know that. I mean, I do take some bee venom on purpose every year by getting a sting by a bee on purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I know that it's very healthy. But
I know that the beekeepers do that. I've heard of that before.
I also do. My husband, we also do. We sometimes catch a bee and force him to sting us. Sometimes they don't do. Maybe put it, wait, hey, sting me. They sometimes don't do. And but that's very, very healthy. So how did I end up with those products? My beekeepers, they started asking me, why don't you do something with it? But I thought, I'm a food scientist. I don't know how to produce skincare out of bee products. Yeah. So I went back to university after I became an entrepreneur. I went back for a degree in biology on dermatology for developing those skincare formulations. So I started my doctorate degree on a different scientific area. Yes. And that's how I ended up these beautiful products. My aim was to produce, because we are always focused on the natural things. We don't want to add anything harmful for humans. All of our food products, they're 100% natural, all supplements, and the skincare should be the same. Because even if it's named as a cosmetic, we are putting it on our skin. And it directly goes down to our blood. When you eat something, there is a detoxification in the body somehow because it passes through your liver. But in the cosmetic case, you put it on your skin and it directly goes to your blood. It's even more dangerous than eating it, putting it on your skin. So it has to be natural. So my first aim was to develop something that's really 100% natural. So that's how I started formulating them. And I did a lot of, it took me 6 years to combine bee venom, propolis, royal jelly, raw honey, together with some other plant extracts that are really good for the skin,
Yes.
for face, for around the eyes, for your chest. I mean, for all the
Neck
face
and décolleté. Yeah, décollage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
décolleté.
décolleté. We say
Yeah,
décolleté. I
décolleté.
don't know.
And,
Dr. Asli, I have to jump in because our interview is scheduled for 2 hours. It will be finishing in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask if we can continue this conversation some other day, because now we have 2 hours. Okay. And we could focus on skincare more, because we will be obviously bringing the skincare in as well after we have established the supplements and everything. We talked about this. But I wanted to just say goodbye, because I think we have covered a lot, and we haven't even covered all the questions I have prepared. We just let this interview flow naturally. And I hope that the listeners will really enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it. But I think 2 hours is good to actually stop. And
I think so too. And you remember the first time you asked me about this, I said I can talk all day and night.
yes, true.
Somebody has to stop me, because that's my passion. That's my life. I love bees. I love what they are doing, and I'm using them in my life every day, from top to toe, inside and outside.
Perfect.
So I would love to meet again and talk
will.
again. And until then, don't forget, if there are bees, there is life.
That's
That's
very
all
well
you
put.
need in your life.
Fantastic. It was a pleasure having you here, and I hope we can meet again. And let's bring the products to the Czech Republic and help people. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and all the arrangement, and hope to see you soon again.
We'll talk again. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.